Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is Coexistence and Sustainability. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time on Roku Worldwide or Amazon Fire or Instagram, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And also a big welcome to our loyal viewers and followers on all the other platforms. So this show is really something special because the star of our show, pet psychic AMINAH, she and I have been together, I guess, for 3 years now. We've been working together. And what started out was a show just about pet psychics and talking to animals and being able to communicate with your animals that have crossed over has really morphed into something that is so significant, especially what's going on in the world today. Pet psychic AMINAH is a huge advocate for coexistence and sustainability. And so each week we talk about what we can do as humans to actually save our planet, to save Mother Earth. And we talk about various species of animals and how they all play a role in our lives. So whether we think it's okay to just step on a spider or smash a worm or whatever the case may be, they all play a role. So this show, again, there's no judgment. It's just about education. So today our topic is about bats. And when we think about bats, ooh, scary. I don't want to be near a bat. I personally haven't seen one. Please, Lord, let me not see a bat. Do not come out of the belfries or wherever you're hiding. But bats are also known as heroes of the night. And obviously, we've seen bats in many movies and portrayed in different ways. And typically, it's in that spooky, scary sense. So Pet Psychic AMINAH is going to lead us through a discussion about bats. She's actually backstage right now, and her camera is not on yet. But what I'll share with you is that we have over 1,400 species of bats worldwide. Now, that's really batty, haha, no pun intended, but they're in different shapes and different sizes, and depending where they are in the world, they're also considered to be inspiring medical marvels. So I did some research about bats so that we could share with you what really are some of the positives that bats bring. And then if we live in an area where there are bats, how can we respect the bats and stay out of their way? So one thing, if anything, I've learned by working with Pet Psychic AMINAH is, again, everything has its role and its place. And when we show up afraid, the animals can sense that. They know that we're scared. And that can be intimidating because they don't necessarily know what we as humans are going to do. So a perfect example are bees. And we've talked about bees many times, how the honeybees are an integral part of our universe, our environments, and our food source. So we see a bee and it's buzzing around and we start waving around our hands and causing a lot of drama. And in the meantime, the bee thought we might be a flower, maybe because we're dressed in a bright pink dress, or maybe because of the perfume we're wearing, or maybe because of the shampoo has a scent. And so the bee doesn't know any different. It's just looking for a place to find so it can settle down and do what it does. But we get intimidated and we start panicking, and the bees can sense that. And it's the same thing really with bats. So what I want to have you think about is, if you encounter a bat, just hello, bat, nice to see you, and let it go on its way. So if it's coming towards you, try to get out of its way as fast as you possibly can. Now, another thing is that we've been taught that bats hibernate, right? They only come out certain times during the year. This is not necessarily true. And again, it depends on where in the world you are. So, bats are known to hibernate just like bears are, but not all bats are in caves in the winter. Some are migrating to warmer places because they're looking for food sources. And we're going to get into what are those food sources. So some bats are leaving the cold and moving into warmer areas. And you can't blame them, right? They want to feel comfortable in their own bat skin. Okay, the next thing is that bats don't have a lot of predators. I guess the animal kingdom is scared of bats as well. So we can't do anything about that, just about how we're showing up about bats. But one thing that is important to know is one of the biggest threats to bats is disease. And disease can be spread by what the bat is eating. So although the bat does have some predators, it has to be careful of what it's eating, because what it's eating can have a fungus. For example, there's something called white fungus that's on the muzzle and the wings of the bats, and then that affects how they can hibernate, and that affects how they feel. And so if they're not feeling well, just like human beings, they're not able to feed themselves. And if they're not able to feed themselves, then obviously we know what can happen. So one of the best things that we can do while scientists and other advocates for animals are researching bats is to avoid going to places where bats go. Where do bats go? We're going to talk about that as well, especially when bats are hibernating, just like a bear. What's that old expression? You don't want to wake up a sleeping bear. Well, you don't want to wake up a sleeping bat either. And one place that we find bats, if you've done any traveling or this is familiar to you, is in caves. And bats live in caves in some cases, and so do some people. But guess who's not in a cave? It's pet psychic AMINAH, and she's joining us right now. Nice segue. Welcome.
I have this devious plan every week to see how I can challenge us in a different way. But
Yes.
technology is not without its flaws. Neither is nature. So thank
Well,
you
it's good to
for
see
all
you.
of that wonderful intro for everybody to really understand why are we talking about this? Because it's
Exactly.
important.
It is important. So I was just sharing about how people are afraid of bats, and yet there's 1,400 different species of bats. You have a lot of experience when it comes to the animal kingdom, because in addition to being a pet psychic, you're also a keynote speaker, you're also a trainer, you're an advocate, obviously, for saving animals and letting us find a way we can all coexist. Can you give a little bit of background about your knowledge about bats?
It's a wonderful thing that getting a chance to not only get a degree in college and have one-on-one experience. I start and end with thanking my mother. She saw what her children love. I have 4 other brothers and sisters, and it's wonderful when somebody sees it. And Dr. Jacalyn, I know with all the work you do and coaching and that type of stuff, you know what I'm talking about, when you can take somebody and take that kernel of passion they have and really help them in any way. I've been publicly speaking my whole life, literally since I was a little kid, and you gave that back to me in such a growth way. And that's what we're hoping to do, is get everybody to understand you don't have to love all the animals. You don't have to like mosquitoes. I personally don't. I was in a lot of different parts of the world where there's a lot of really big mosquitoes, and they love chewing on you, technically drinking on you. So what we're doing is sharing knowledge and what's happening and what changes in the world so we can coexist. If you like to eat anything, you better love the honeybee, any of them. All the bees, because we need all the insects also. Still waiting for explanation on those mosquitoes, though, if anybody still has that. And I've been asking that for over a year. but we working together, animals, nature, these beautiful trees as you see in our background, and anything else that is out there. When we throw our trash out our windows, doors, whatever, it gets away from us, and we don't pick it up, so much of our trash is compounded by the other person who lost their trash, and the other, that one blew away and that one blew away, and they was like, oh, it'll biodegrade. Not fast enough. If it does, not fast enough. So why are bats so important? Because they are part of the ecosystem. They are managing our spiders, they're managing our mosquitoes, they're managing so many things. And believe it or not, all the native animals, that natural animals, they eat of the soil, the bugs, the plants. And when they throw up or they defecate or anything, all of that nutrition goes back into the soil. So it's really circle. And we are a part of that circle. So I want to encourage everybody to think about it before you let your trash blow down the street and go, oh, somebody else will take care of it. Believe it or not, I don't know who somebody else is. Dr. Jacalyn, do you know who somebody else is? Because I haven't met them yet.
Nope, I haven't met them.
I've heard about them a lot, even in movies.
I did too. Yeah. So I think what's interesting also, because I talked at the beginning of the show about how we're coexisting, is
Right.
that with the bats, they live in different parts of the world. They're migrating to places where it's warmer. And that means we may encounter more of the bats. Now, are bats dangerous to humans?
No, because from what I understand from even mosquitoes, no, I'm not talking to mosquitoes most of the time, but I have been around all of the places that they have it. We taste terrible. we don't take care of ourselves. We're not eating just trees and berries and even, you know, a little meat here and there like the carnivores do. So from what I understand from the animal community is that we really taste terrible. That doesn't mean that they're not going to prevent us from scaring their young away or their predators or prey. If you're thinking about, let me use the example of the big cats, the mountain lions that we have in California. They are managing the deers. They are managing the squirrels. They don't eat more than they need. Only humanity seems to have a really good corner on that one. So we need to realize that if, sadly, I have 3 cats in my life and they're all indoors. So I know it would be heartbreaking if one of my cats got loose, started running around, and one of the neighborhood dogs, other cats, whatever, killed them for whatever reason, territory or food. It would be heartbreaking. So that's why we really talk about, all of us in the animal industry, is please keep your pets on a leash. Don't let them run around and decimate the native population. That's the short version.
Okay, that's
Excuse me.
So the other thing that was interesting is that bats do not have many known or documented predators, but disease is a big cause for death for them.
It really is. They seem to be, I haven't read up on this in years, so I'm not going to try to even guess, but I know that it's the size of their body, what they're doing, how they function. There are bats that drink blood. Yep. and they're called vampire bats or lots of other names. And there's some that just eat bugs. So don't assume that everybody's eating the same thing. You'll never find that in the birds. You won't even find that in, isn't that a cutie? I'm sorry, I think it's adorable. You know, what's that ugly, cute thing going on?
It looks like it has hands.
I know. Well, and they do have digits, just not a lot of, you know, knuckles and as many as we have, because they're having to reach in, get their insect, their bugs or whatever they need, and they got to catch them. I don't know about you. You ever chase down a cockroach? Those are really fast.
Well, and don't they also hang when they sleep? Do they hang upside down from their their feet, I guess.
Yeah, they can. They can. So you have to know which, species in what part of the country they're in, because all of them will be a little bit different. If you've even seen deer, they used to be, of course, everywhere, and now we've kind of overpopulated, but you're not going to get the same deer here that you're going to get in Wyoming, that you're going to get in Alaska, that's all the United States technically, but it's going to be different. So I would say that their situation will be a little bit different depending on their topography.
Now look what we're looking at here. They look to be very tiny. Is that so?
Well, what I think is happening is that this is where you get all the heat and you get everybody who's protecting everybody. It looks like you've got quite a few animals here all squished together so that they can sleep or protect each other. So, it's all that go to the middle.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and you know how many people would mistake that or be afraid of that. And that's what I really hope everybody hears, is that there are ways to be around a bee, any kind of bee.
Yeah,
that it's safe to do that, because they die and they know that they'll die. So if they're that afraid of you, it's the same thing being bit by a dog, a coyote, a rabbit, a snake, believe it or not. And you know this because we've been working together long enough, but I actually have been bitten by a snake repeatedly.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
And you're here today
and all my digits.
Ooh, you have all your digits. We have on the screen right now a bat flying, and my understanding is that it's the only flying mammal, the bat. Is that correct?
That's what we understand. But what I see in the science community is they're keeping track to see if there's more animals and all the different types, every kind, from bugs to carnivores, because we really believe that we're missing quite a few. And they have learned to stay away from us. They've learned to coexist by pretending they don't exist. And there's a lot of mixture in there. Bats are very specific to caves. They don't have very good eyesight in the sun because they live in the dark. That's where they should be. So you're going to get a lot of animals that are going to really say, hey, it's safer here, not there.
You know what's so interesting? I'm looking at this picture. I don't see any little digits anymore. I mean, I see the feet, but where did the hand digits go?
They're in the wings. They're in the wings, and they actually look like at the end, a lot of them have like what we would say fingers, arms. It's fingers, but what you're not seeing is it's a part of the wing. So imagine our rib cage is in the middle of our body, and then we've got these hands and arms. They're the same. So you're going to get all of that fabulous wing spans, and that's really important for the glide, for the jump off, and everything. But at the end, there's little digits.
It's so cool.
I know.
I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking it's really cool, but I promise you, my friend,
if they come to visit,
I would not be happy. We have an up close of a face. Let's take a look at this. It's kind of interesting.
And they're just little precious little faces.
They look kind of cute, actually.
They are. They really are. They got this, little giant ears for their wonderful hearing. And they got this teeny tiny little nose and teeny tiny little eyes.
It looks like the nostrils are on the side. Is that right?
Well, I think it's the angle of the camera because it kind of sticks out. It's very small. It's, less than your tip of your fingernail. But it's this teeny little kind of squished up nose. And so on our angle, we're seeing one ear and one side. I think that's why it looks like he's got like a little booty sticking out of his front of his face.
Yeah, and look where the face is. It's all of a sudden there's no fur, and then there's a ton of fur.
Right. And that is going to be from everything. Obviously, you don't want too much fur in your ears. Besides, you got to clean it and all that type of stuff. But it also gives them a chance to, depending on what they're eating at that moment, you will see a lot of carnivores specifically that will have less fur on their head if they're diving into like a carcass of a deer, an elephant, God forbid, any of this kind of stuff. You don't want all that fur. You don't want all of that, because what happens parasites, disease. If you can't wash it and get it out, I doubt they have, tons of bars of soap in the wild.
Now, this one looks scary. Okay, this is scary to me.
Well, and look at the crazy opening that you would think were like, oh, they're their eyes. No, that's his ears with the slits, and his eyes are teeny little tiny things between those ears.
Wait, so the big things are the wings, right?
No, ears. His
Wow.
wings, if you look at on the corner, you kind of see I see a shine of red, but it's at the bottom of the picture. Do you see it's one little like area, and then it's bigger? That's the wing.
So the ears are bigger than the wings?
That's one of the wings. The other one he's probably sitting on.
It's unbelievable.
But the top from what I understand, for this type of bat, they have all this wonderful radar movement in those ears, not only to hear from a great distance, but to also navigate if they're in a flight path, because they can jump from tree to tree to tree, and those ears are many times incorporated like wings. Now they don't technically. They have the all the netting and that kind of stuff to really get that glide and get a really good jump. But technically, they're not. Not all of them. This is not true for all of them. They're not flying, but they sure look like they are.
They do.
Think of gliders. Sugar gliders. They're a type squirrel.
Yes.
And they do that. They jump and glide and jump and glide. Now look at that. That just looks like messy, like a lot of mud.
No, I read that they spend a lot of time grooming themselves.
Yes, because in the wild, if you're not clean, you're going to be dead, because there's plenty of bacteria, there's plenty of mud and water and mold and all the same things that we would be faced with. This is how they live through being outdoors all the time. So they understand how to stay clean. It's really vital to all animals and plants, honestly, to survive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So they're clean. That's something else that we've learned. They're clean. Now here's a great one. We can really study this picture up close. Let me bring this one up. Okay. So
neat.
So we see very visibly the digits on the bottom. Looks like 1, 2, 3. Is it 5?
Well, I see vegetables and then a bat above it.
That's what I mean. But the bat, look at.
So you see that they've got like toes that move, because they do grab things. And the wings, if you'll see, there is a bone coming down.
Yes.
We can only see, we actually can see 2. I see the second one now behind. And you should see how fast they are, picking up a worm, picking up a small snake, all of that kind of stuff. And then they fly away with it. And if it bites them, they drop it.
Yeah. And now look here, you can see in the wings, it looks like what would you call this? The pattern.
Yes, very absolutely. And it's all about flight. So it's the same as when they built the planes, and that's how all of this happened. We built our balloons, or the ones you get in and fly away in, and the airports and the airplanes, all of that, all based off of wildlife, all of it. So
cool.
And a bat has an amazing wingspan. Just depends on their age and the type of bat you're looking at. Because of course they have little bitty tiny bats too.
But I still don't see their little hands.
Well, for me, I can see them. So if you look at the little vegetable thing, whatever this plant is that we have in front of that, go to, it's my right, might be your left, where you see the wing. That's a foot. Those are little claws.
Aren't they feet?
Well, they could be, because they can use them both ways. They can.
There's only one set of these
on the wings. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll usually be either one on each side of the wing, so they can do that, hop or fly. Or it just depends if they've ruined their foot and they've only got one there. And can you imagine trying to pick up bugs and fruit and all that kind of stuff? Because there are fruit bats that eat lots and lots of fruit. They're actually called fruit bats. So just depends on what they're needing. And then they're very careful about keeping. Wildlife is all about, you got to keep all the digits working. You got to keep all the flies off you, bugs off you. And that's why there's a lot of coexistence in the world of nature, because they all do depend upon each other, indirectly or directly,
Now,
regardless how you
look
see
at
it.
this one. It looks like this, which
Mhm.
is part of the wing, could be used as a claw, maybe.
Well, it's got a sharp edge, so it can be used to ward off intruders. But it's also used like, think of like not a pogo stick because you don't bounce, but like a cane or something. And it's very, very. It's got a lot of calcium cartilage in it, like like a toenail or something like that, and they can walk on it. It's not a perfect smooth walk, but it's really easy for them to do that, especially in the trees when you're getting up and down bark and that type of stuff. And they've got these amazing little eyes with that nose. Also, is like they took little eyes and they put the little nose. But yeah, their vision is not terrific. They are typically better in the dark.
Hmm. And it looks like in this one, because I didn't see it in the other one, it looks like there is a pupil in the eye.
Yes, but it's so dark. You really have to get up close. As you see, we're getting a really good look, and somebody's got a light on this
Yeah.
picture, so we can see the reflection a little bit better.
You know what's so cool if you think about it?
Yep.
If you think about the intricacies of this animal, okay? It has fur, it's got these wings, it has the digits. I mean, it's amazing actually.
Well,
It's for the functions that it needs to complete. It has everything it needs.
yeah, exactly. For the place in the world, because the world is huge. It's just ginormous. Look at the bugs alone. How'd you like to be an ant? Got 9,000 miles to go carrying a leaf to create something, or cut a hole, or be in the dirt, and all of those magical things that nature does, because they are drawn to it. They are not overthinking. They're not looking at the PhD that they didn't get, so they don't know what they're doing. It's all nature. We learn to build good structure homes because we watched animals do it. You can watch a beaver plug up a whole pond, lake, whatever they're doing, and it's magical to watch. And when I was doing my just my AA first, waiting to move up to other greater documents, but I got to study and do a paper on beavers and that type of stuff, which is amazing, because if you watch them build, there wasn't a class. Their mom and dad taught them. They'll tell theirs, show, and the ones that are successful, of course, are leading the whole family, the whole troop. Beavers are vital. So I wrote a paper on what was going on at the time. This is probably the late 70s, 80s. I'm talking about the period there where there was tons of building. And everybody's like, no, we're going to build a house, a bunch of houses there. We're going to build the skyscrapers. And Dr. Jacalyn, can you imagine what they did with the beaver community, and what really, really did almost that animal in, especially in these places? One thing that the builders did that almost decimated the beaver completely.
Sorry, I'm coughing. No,
That's okay. I'm glad somebody else is doing it. One was like, just dry mouth here. But can you imagine what they finally learned by almost wiping out? And I don't remember what part of the U.S. or where they did this anymore. That That was a long time ago. I studied that and wrote that paper. But can you imagine what the beavers did and almost died and completely removed from these areas where the construction was done? But for almost one reason exclusively. There were a lot of them, but one really big one. Any guesses?
Nope.
Well, it was about them putting in dams. So when we really started taking over the world and building, oh, we need another house, we need another house, and now we need 6 houses, now we need 12 feet up. So what happened was everybody, and this really hit head from the late 50s, but the 60s and 70s, it was just everybody was building everywhere because they could, and they could buy the land, and it was really cheap or whatever, because nobody wanted to buy a half creek. And these were not huge waterways to, like, for gallons per gallon. It was just, oh, that water's always there and the rain comes and then it goes and it's dry. Oh, we'll just build here and we'll build around it and blah, 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 blah. The beavers moved away and died because there was no other place for them. And that was the way they get through their life. And they trim the trees and then they managed the water and put up dams and all that. And all of a sudden, the beavers started to head towards instinct where it was going to be wiped out completely. And then the construction people, they went through a couple of, like, one or two winters with the houses they built, and the whole place flooded. The whole place flooded. This was the paper I was working on, is showing what happened when you didn't respect. And I really think that's the right word. We don't respect what animals do naturally for the planet, which means for all of us.
You know what else is also interesting, and I learned this from you from one of the other episodes we did about rats, for example, that rats are so intelligent that when flooding would come or does come, they know to climb up to the top and to go onto the roof.
Yep. And with beavers, they're actually giving a little bridge by where they put their rocks and where they put their sticks, and everybody goes on surviving. But what the humans didn't see was, oh, no, it doesn't matter. We'll just let the water run. Well, guess what? Without the beavers creating a doable path for the water, because they always had the water still going, it just wasn't flooding anything, is the contractors found out they flooded all the towns within a mile of the 10 miles below where they demolished what the beavers built. So it's like, wait a minute, there are so many things that if we don't stop and say, you want to know how to build something properly, go watch an animal. Go watch anybody. You can watch a bird and how they build their nests. I don't know about you. I don't know how to take a twig and give my kids in this little nest and then sit on it and then fly back and forth. I don't know how to do that and know that my kids will still be in the nest. Some birds sure fall out, but that is a different conversation. The beavers were not only creating great soil. That was a really big thing with when we humans got involved in building, is we were stripping the soil of all the organicness so we could move it, make bricks and all this type of stuff. And that's really where the floods take over, because there's nothing holding them on. There's no plants. There's no heavy soil. It could be all clay. It could be all sand. And the animals know all that. They see all that. They make plans. So guess what? We've learned. Watch an animal. See what they do. See how they go through the world. I mean, can you imagine watching an elephant? Those giant feet. You would think he'd be crushing things all the time. Miss sitting on somebody, but I only see that in circus pictures.
So right now we're looking at the brown bat, which is apparently the smallest bat in the world, which is
and we're talking, this.
Yeah.
This is a little bitty guy.
I don't know if it's this one or another one, I forget, that is actually weighs less than a penny.
Yep. Yep. It could be this one. It could be the other one. I don't know at you. I'm not really good at the let's see what he looks like half upside down.
I know. But
Yeah, we're all looking like this.
look how it's in the crevice there.
Exactly. Because they're so small, they can do that, and they can create wonderful homes, when it's raining, or, God forbid, I don't know too many bats that are in the snow. So there's moisture around, and they know how to get out of it. And it benefits the rock. It benefits the tree. It benefits the soil. Everything is a chain. So every time, let's say, every time me as a human, I'm done chewing my gum. Dennis already hates me because I'm chewing gum. I don't chew gum. And then you just throw it on the ground. How many times through the 70s did we always see somebody put it on a rail because they thought it would be funny, and then we all got it on our hands or our clothes so we couldn't get it back out, or they just spit it on the ground? I don't remember anybody telling me not to spit it on the ground, but I never did, because I was like, that's gross. What do you think it's going to do? Nothing. Well, it's not my problem. It's going to be.
Well, it's a problem because then someone walks on it. But
Oh my
I do
gosh.
want to make just a confirmation. I misspoke about the smallest bat. It's actually the bumblebee bat.
Wow.
The bumblebee bat is the smallest bat, so it's not the brown bat. But something else that came to light when I was doing some research, because I want to make sure we hit on this, is about the fact that bats, I'm trying to find the information about how they play a role in the food chain. Are you aware of what that is?
I'm not sure what you're specifically talking about, but animals
Pollinating fruit, eating insects. There you go.
They do both. They're fruit bats, and there's bug bats. Is that a thing? That's not a title, but fruit bat is a title. So they are creating that. And again, people really think of a cow. If you garden at all and you like manure like I do, because I want my plants to get good food and I'm having them in pots most of the time, this is what animals do. They eat something, their body digests it, takes the sugars, takes the fiber, whatever, and then it's defecated. But when you don't have chemicals in there, like color number 62, blah, blah, live, and all that type of stuff, this is doing really great things for the soil. It's putting those nutrients back that should be there in a really natural way. So this is really important, what not only bats do, but animals across the board.
Yeah, I think that's something else that I'm taking away, excuse me, away from every show, is that they are actually modeling behavior for us.
Thank you.
And then each animal breed has what they need.
Yes. And they don't take more.
Yeah.
It's humanity who takes more and squirrels it away. There's my pun, squirrels it away, because squirrels do that. But that's what squirrels get through snow and that type of thing. But they never take more than they know they need for that season. How do they know that? Well, they went through a few seasons. They had a mom and a dad who showed them how to do it. We don't have a lot of that in this generation. I know, my mom showed us how to cook. And then, of course, we were in clubs and 4-H and things and learned how to cook with other people. There's spices you want to try, whatever. It's brought down from generation to generation. And the natural world really does that spectacularly, really does. That's why when an animal loses a parent specifically, there's so much lost at that point. Not only are these babies who are left, or children, whatever their age are, they don't maybe haven't learned enough hunting skills. And that's the natural selection where another animal will come in and consume them. Is that something we should do? No, we can do better. We can do better. We can teach each other and educate each other. What we're doing, Dr. Jacalyn, what we're doing is showing, and hopefully I try to do it with as much positivity, because really, this is a really fun part of, I think, of life, of saying, how can I do it better and not be an over consumer?
Yeah. I love what you just said a few seconds ago when you said that the animals only take what they need.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we're the ones
Even
who,
the ones that fill up their cheeks, the little squirrels.
yeah, that's all they, yeah, that's all they can fit in. And then,
That's all they fit in.
and like
And then they
ants, whatever they can carry in the little heads.
yeah, I don't think it works because there's no Velcro or sticky stuff. It's all
Oh,
in a, but they will go back to their nest and they'll have those nuts. So when it's snowing, they have food because all the grass is gone. All the green is gone. All the ability for the nuts to grow more is gone. But they're still going to be consuming them, which means the feces gets all that nutrition and they, poop wherever they want, go to the bathroom wherever they want, but their byproduct is so healthy for the planet. It is humanity who's, we're eating ding dongs and Twinkies and soda and lots of really good, useful stuff. It's not that you can't ever eat that. Just don't drop your wrappers on the ground. My family gets on me all the time because if I see a wrapper or any kind of trash, I pick it up. And my kids would say, "That's so gross. Your hand's dirty." And I was like, "What? I have a wipey in the car. I have water in a bottle. I can rinse my hands off, and I'm not touching my face." So there are ways you can do that and can be a part of that. We all make mistakes. I don't know about you. I've dropped a piece of paper or something's blown away from me. I'm like, oh man. And then I'm running after it if I can. If I can't, then, it's learning by example, but learning by error. I
I've
think
been one of those
humanity,
people in a shopping center wanting to get something, and then you have to be careful because you could put
yep,
yourself in harm's way too. So,
absolutely. One cart gets you, man, you're done for. Especially if they've already got the Coke cans and all that in there.
oh
It's a
yeah.
Costco run, man, you're in trouble.
Uh, yeah, I don't actually go to Costco because I'm just one person, but I know my
Yeah.
family members, they do, and they've got, I guess, great deals and whatnot. But I think for today, when we think about bats, the other thing I want to mention is that from what I read, there are about 45 species of bats in the United States and also in Canada, and that they're more prolific than what we would think, meaning that they're in more places than we would think that they are. And I just want to confirm with you that bats typically come out at night. Is that correct?
Not all. You're going to get some of them, and I don't remember if it's the fruit bat, but I'm going to use that as an example because their name is fruit bat. So they could come out anytime. So I don't know if they are only day or only night, but you'll get bats that do one or the other. They're the ones hanging out and waiting for the bugs. A lot of what I saw in my reading was because I'm trying to pre-end if somebody needing to ask this is that it's about their lifestyle. Which ones can sleep in the daytime, which ones can sleep at night, all of that kind of stuff. It depends on what their prey are, the animals that they eat or the bugs they eat, most likely. Where are they? Are they out more at night? Are they out more in the daytime? That really dictates how a wild animal goes through their world.
Yeah, so true. So true. So I really just want to impress upon people because we always have new people who are coming to us. I actually have a couple guests who are going to be joining us, is
Wonderful.
that once you learn something, then it's your opportunity to do something about it. And that's what we're
Yeah.
doing here. And as I mentioned, I personally feel so indebted to you because I've learned so much that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I'm not walking around with these misconceptions, and I'm not walking around in a state of terror. And I did say if a bat were to come out right now, I would freak out. But I would get out of its way and I would just figure out how can I get it outside or back to wherever it is it belongs. But bats do live in houses too, don't they?
Well, yeah, especially, depending on the way their roofs are structured, you've got wood, you've got clay, you've got tiles, you've got all kinds of things, and they can go in there and create a nice little abode for themselves. But just want to really encourage and give everybody some, hopefully a good thought is they don't want anything to do with you. We are carnivores. We smell like carnivores, even if you're a vegan or whatever. That's the way your body's put together. So they are going to know, wait a minute, that one's bigger than me, has tools possibly. They don't understand our fingers and toes and all that kind of stuff that make us faster, more agile. So try to figure out a coexistence situation. I don't recommend that you feed wildlife unless there's a drought. Water is always essential. Clean water, that's why bird baths are fabulous. If you want to, have them and have the try to keep them clean, that's really great, because water is essential to all of us. Every single one, plant, vegetable, bug, people, whatever, we have to have it. So when you're out there, think about your choices. It doesn't have to be me, myself, and I. It just doesn't. Because if we really, really want the beauty of the green grass or the great apple trees or whatever, we all need to do that together. We really do.
And once again, you summed everything up beautifully. So thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time to do this show with me today. Our next show is coming up. It's royal breaking news from London. How about that?
Very cool. There seems to be a lot of that lately.
Yeah, we have some team members who are experts on the British royal family. I think you've met them before.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
On the reunion show. So, Pet Psychic AMINAH, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
If you have any kind of concerns or you really don't understand what your pet's trying to tell you, that's where I come in. I can hear, I have the conversation, I speak their language, whatever way you want to look at that. Again, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I have a college education. I truly believe that there's never too much education, what Dr. Jacalyn and I are willingly and happily giving to everybody. So bridging worlds.us. My resume, my background, all the links to our shows, and so much more on how I feel and look at everybody and how much it costs to talk to me. So please, bridging worlds.us is everywhere, anything you want to know about where I am, and any of my social media, because I give a lot of free advice, just like what Dr. Jacalyn and I are doing. This will go up on Facebook. This will go up on LinkedIn. My shows are always out there, and they're all at Dr. Jacalyn's link also. So you can go to all of those things and just really fill up on some beautiful, wonderful other speakers that are on this channel.
Thank you so much. And the great news is that right now it's out on all the platforms because we stream live, and people can go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio, and they can actually find the playlist there, which is Coexistence and Sustainability. And this show, I've also put it on Amazon Fire and on Roku worldwide.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And it will go out again when we get done. That's how I do it, so they get the live version too.
Well, people are seeing it, and people are really, they love it. So I've gotten great.
And anybody has a question, email me, send it, and we'll talk about it on the show.
All right, fantastic. All right, thank you everyone for being here. Please stay tuned for royal breaking news from London coming up next, and we'll see you again soon. See you next week.
Yeah, next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.